I made mention to this a couple of times during the while I was actually playing today, which is like trying to remember the honors as like the cards have been coming down, trying to count up the suit distributions. All of these things are really important. There are also things that I have a lot of trouble actually doing. I think you probably all saw me struggle with it quite a bit, but it's something that I think I'm trying to make, especially after reading this chapter, I'm trying to make a much more active approach to it and like starting to count up the cards and be a lot more wary of this stuff. So the whole idea behind this chapter is the inferences and the things that you can learn by counting up the cards and trying to give yourself the best possible chances to make your contracts. So if you haven't seen this before, we are currently working through the book called Card Play Technique, or The Art of Being Lucky. You can kind of see this without the massive reflection. We are about halfway through it. We're up to chapter 11. And we spend about 4 days on each chapter. We organize discussion on Discord, and it's been pretty good so far. And then each stream I get together, we talk about a chapter, we do a couple of problems, and go over some of the techniques. So I've been learning a lot. I think I've like definitely improved my play, and it's just a lot of information here. It's a pretty great book, so highly recommend it if you don't have it. Okay. So like I said, this chapter is all about counting your suits and counting out your high card points. And this becomes really important, especially as like you get towards the end of the game, end of a hand, and you have to figure out like, where is like this particular honor? Is there a way that we can actually make this better, improve it so we are not just making a complete guess? And a couple of the example problems we'll be looking at are places where like I could see myself very easily making a mistake if you're not actually counting out the hand. Because it seems very tempting to do one thing, but if you've been counting and paying attention, it'll be really obvious that you're supposed to do something completely different. So as you're going through, like the better understanding, like the more you know about the hand, the more about you know about where the cards are, the more about where the honors are, and you can count up all of these things and make better inferences. You'll be able to make better decisions. And there's a lot of different ways that you can gain this information. You're going to get it directly from the bidding, from your opponents making decisions during competitive auctions. You're going to get information based on what their opening lead is. You're going to get, as you play out the hand, you can end up getting a better sense of the count as they start showing out in suits, as you start seeing roughs show up early. All of these things are going to help you figure out what stuff happens over the course of the hand. All of this is really general, and like as I'm reading through this, like, and I'm like this chapter, like one thing has kept like hitting back to me, which is like, yeah, all of this stuff seems really obvious, like, but putting it into practice at the table, I have a lot of trouble with. So if anybody has any tips or suggestions for having like remembering like layouts or like having a like getting better at recall during the table, I'd love to hear it. One source I was reading from recommended that you make a guess of the distribution for all the suits, and then like as you play out the hand, you get to learn whether or not your guess was right or wrong. And so it can be easier if you're remembering, okay, I like was assuming that this was true. I was assuming spades were 5-3-3-2, but then my opponent showed out on the second round of spades, so I know that they can't be 5-3-3-2. I'm guessing now that they're probably 6-3-3-1 or something. That was given as a suggestion for ways to try and remember this stuff easier. In practice, haven't had that much luck with that idea. Like I've tried it out a few times. It hasn't been that easy for me. Another suggestion I found was making a complete play of the hand, like figuring out what you're going to do in the order that you're going to do it in, so that way you can have a better sense of walking through the hand and remembering what you're doing along the way. I've had a little bit more success with that, and I was doing that a little bit today, where it was like, okay, I'm making this plan, I'm going to do this suit, then this suit, and that kind of helped me walk through like which cards had been played when. Pete Holland say you should make your guesses out loud. Yeah, that seems helpful too. Like, especially like while you're like getting used to like trying to develop these skills, anything that you can do to like work as a memory aid, I think is going to be really helpful. But these are a couple of things that I've heard, but I like, yeah, it'd be fantastic if you had perfect recall of what was happening. But I think for a lot of people that it's not easy to develop. So like some of the stuff, like some of these problems, I was like really struck like as I was doing them like over and over again. I'm like, great, you're giving me a description. I'm looking at the hands. I don't have to like worry about remembering anything right now. I just have to work out what the answer is. But translating that into play at the table seems like it could be a little bit more difficult. Um, so uh, this fourth piece of advice was also very general, which is like if you know that the suits are split unevenly, like say like they're like 6-3 for one opponent, then it's more likely that the person who has the long suit is going to have any given card. Like if you need, so absent any other information, like you can play the person with the long suit for the card that you're looking for. And then also like just absent any other information, you can assume that your opponent's strength is split evenly. Like if your opponents didn't chime in during the bidding, and you're missing 2 aces, it's probably likely that 1 ace is with each opponent rather than both aces hanging out with the same person. It's like if you can tell that opponents have 20 points between them, it's more likely that they're like 10-10 or 13-7 than it is that they're like 17-3. So making assumptions that you want to assume more that your opponent's strength is split evenly, absent other information. But again, you're going to get a lot of different information from just about anything that happens at the table, including a bunch of negative inferences that you can make from actions that people don't take. So the like what people don't do can be just as informative as the things that they do actually end up doing. Okay, so all this was really general. This is like a lot less specific than what happens with some of the other chapters, because really the take-home message is count. So let's take a look at how this actually works out in practice. So on the right here, you can kind of see this auction. East is the dealer. They opened up with 1 heart. You overcalled 1 spade. West shows up with 2 hearts, then 2 spades from North. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's a lot. For those of you who are seeing this for the first time, this book was written in the 1950s from England, so these are like A-call auctions-ish. There's also in the setting of rubber bridge, not duplicates, so the bidding can be a little bit weird at times, and some of the inferences that you have to make from the bidding can also be a little bit strange. So we'll try and like do that, I'll try and make that as clear as I can. So the way this hand starts out is West leads the 10 of hearts. You play low from dummy, and then East comes up with a king. That covers your queen, and they play back the jack. So you end up roughing this with a low spade, and then you just play down the top 2 spades. You've got 9 of them. Hopefully they split 2-2. But they didn't. They actually showed up being 3-1, and West shows up without having it, with only 1 spade. So what can we infer from the way that the auction has gone and from the way that the play has gone about what we need to do in order to actually make this contract? So I actually tried to put this, an explicit hand is given for this before I actually go any further. So I put this into like a hand editor, and I tried to like play it out so that we could work through it together and try and like do this, but it doesn't work too well because the bidding sequence that's happened here is just weird for what the hand actually is. So if this happened in like a modern auction, I would assume, we've got a 5-card heart suit, and then we've got, probably, I don't know, like what would 3 diamonds be here? Like a game suit help suit, game try help suit. So maybe like 3 or 4 diamonds, maybe more. I'm not too sure what this 3 diamonds bid would mean outside of like what they've actually put into the book. Yeah, the big question is what the heck is 3 diamonds? So at a bare minimum, I would guess that the 3 diamonds would probably be like at least 4 diamonds. The book says that this 3 diamond bid is actually just a full-on second suit. And then West is showing preference to the diamond suit, even though they've already found a heart fit. So this auction is strange, and I don't know. The auction's very strange. So let's just hold on to that for a second. Let's think that East is probably 5-4 in Hearts Diamonds. They might be 5-5. They might be something else. So, and then we know also that, and we know the spades are split 3-1 because we played the ace king, West showed out. So we know that East has 3 spades. So the big question now is, how many clubs can East actually have? Well, if they have 5 hearts, they've got at least 4 diamonds, and then they've got 3 spades to go with it. That's 12 cards. So if they have 5 diamonds, they don't have any clubs at all. If they have, and if they have 4 diamonds, then they only have 1. So, like, thinking about, so if we're trying to figure this out, the best thing that we can do here is take a really, really big finesse on West. We're going to assume that West is holding the king, the queen, the 9, and we're going to try and finesse all of those at the same time. If actually this like 3 diamond bid is really only 4 diamonds, then yeah, maybe we end up getting it wrong, and East comes up with like their 1 extra club trick. But on the actual hand in the book, this diamond bid is actually 5 diamonds, and they're actually 5-5-3-0. And the way that we're able to figure that out is like, we're based on this auction, based on the way the hand is played out so far, we can get the idea that we need to, that all of the clubs that we're missing are going to be in West. Like I said, I'm not super thrilled with this auction example because the auction is so weird and doesn't play out too well. But let's take a look at another one. Okay, so in this one, we're going to bypass the whole idea of an auction. We're just going to say that we're in a 4 heart contract and the opponents didn't say anything. Sorry, hold on. It looks like I didn't update this correctly. Where do you go if your heart's gonna burst out of your chest? I'm not sure. Maybe the ER. It looks like I have a typo. I didn't update this correctly. The 10 here is supposed to be a jack. Okay. The set of aliens. That'd be pretty good. Okay, so West shows up with the jack of spades. Then you go ahead and come up with the ace. You play back the 6 to the king, and then you rough out your last spade. Then at this point, you go ahead and draw your trumps. You find out that they're actually 3-0. So once you've done all of this, you're essentially in this position. You're in your own hand, and you've got 3 trumps left. They should all be winners. You've got this diamond suit, and you've got this club suit. We haven't taken any losers, but we've taken 6 tricks and we've got 3 more. So we've got to find a way to get 1 more trick. And really, it feels like this situation's a little bit hopeless. It doesn't feel like there's a lot that we can choose here. It depends on where these aces are. So there's a kind of a big choice. Like, do we try and do we attack the club suit first or do we attack the diamond suit? Which one is going to give us more information about the hand? If West is holding on to the pretty stupid finish of the football game, with Green Bay just taking a 0% line. Excellent. I have not caught any of the game today. Any of the games today. Okay, so let's see. If West has the ace of clubs, we're gonna be totally set. Our clubs come up, our king is gonna be good, and we can just take the rest of our tricks. We get our 10th trick, and we're good to go. If it's not there, then we have a real issue, which is like, well, where's the diamond? We need to make sure that we're playing our diamond suit for only 1 loser. We have to make sure that we can get a winner out of our diamond suit. So if we need to decide whether we're going to play clubs first or diamonds first, we have to figure out which one can actually give us information about the hand. if we play out the diamond suit first, and like we play like the 8 up to the king, and then the ace ends up being in west, then we didn't really gain anything about the hand. Like, sorry, we play the club up to the king, and then the ace is in east. Then if we're going to assume that opponent's strength is split evenly, I kind of alluded to this example earlier, like we're missing 2 aces here. If we're assuming, like if we want to assume that opponent's strength is split evenly, then we'd assume that east has the other ace. And then, well, you know, we don't really gain anything from that. Either east has the ace, the club ace, and we're good to go, or they don't, and we can't make it. So let's look at this on the reverse side. If we actually start by playing with the clubs side, so we play the 4 up to the king, and west shows up with the ace of east shows up with the ace of clubs. Now we have insight into what's happening with the diamond suit. We can make a guess that the diamond ace is going to be over in the diamond ace is going to be in west, and we know that when we know that we should come up with the king of spades, the king of diamonds here. If it's the other way around, like we know that the queen, we know that the east is over here, then we know that we need to play up to the jack, and we need to hope that we can get the queen, that we can finesse the queen. But if we play the diamonds and then play the clubs, we don't gain any information. By playing the clubs, we can then gain a little bit of a guess about more information about the right way to play the diamond suit. So this hand looks a little bit rough, but there's a way that, like, if you think through it, you can give yourself a chance to gain more information, and hopefully gain out and make your contract. Let's try one of the problems. I've got 2 more problems, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Okay, so west has shown up with a lot of bids here. They started with 1 heart, your partner passed, and then east comes in with 1 no, then west bids 2 diamonds. Everybody passes around to you, who chime in with 2 spades, and your partner takes you to 4 after west bids 3 diamonds again. We're assuming that the trumps are split 2-2. How can we make sure that we're making our 4-spade contract? I'm going to give everybody about 30 seconds to a minute to look over the auction, look over the hand, think about the different things that you can, the different things we know, the different things we can infer, and how are we going to guarantee that we make this contract? Okay. Classically, West should be 5-5. Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, I think even like in a modern auction, I would assume that like West is playing a 5-card major, then they bid a second suit, and then bidding that second suit again would hopefully show, I would see 5-4, and then I would see 5-5, hopefully. So if West is showing up with 10 red cards, and then we see 2 trumps from them, how many cards does that leave them for the club suit? Well, they have either 1 club card or they have none. So, if West is showing up with only 1 club, that means we can figure out exactly where the queen of clubs is. So we can play out the ace first, and if we drop the queen of clubs, fantastic, from West, and if we don't, then the club finesse is marked in East, so that we can make sure that we're guaranteed to take our contract. is we're getting 6 spades here. We're getting, sorry. Let's see. We have 2 heart losers that we can't do anything about. We have a diamond loser. So we need to make sure that we're not taking any club losers. And the way that we're going to make sure that we don't take any club losers is by doing exactly what I just said. So this is a great example of counting. I think like these kind of this kind of situation probably comes up fairly frequently. It feels like it does. Like if you can tell that your opponent is too suited, like being able to make an inference about the distribution of the last hand seems really helpful. I think I probably make this mistake constantly. Something I could see happening very easily on this hand, as an inference I could make, would be, like, okay, West is showing up with all these points, so West probably has the Queen of Clubs, so I'm gonna finesse West for the Queen of Clubs. I don't know. I could see myself making that type of reasoning very, very easily, because I do stuff like that all the time. But if I think about it a little bit harder, I can figure out that West actually only has 1 club that they could have in their hand. And so there's absolutely no reason for me to be finessing West. I want to drop their 1 club, and if it's the Queen, great. And then I get to take the marked finesse against the East. Otherwise. Okay, let's take a look at the last one. This one's kind of long. So, the auction was relatively anemic. Not a lot going on here. West opened up with 1 club, you ended up overcalling with 1 diamond, and then partner showed 2 diamonds and everybody passed. West started off the play leading off just their monster club suit. And they end up taking the first 3 tricks, and on the 4th one, you're going to go ahead and take a ruff with a diamond, and then along the way, East managed to discard 2 hearts. So once we've done our ruff, we go ahead and draw trumps in 2 rounds. So they managed to split 2-2. And then we led a heart to the Queen. We led the small heart to the Queen, and that managed to hold. So then we played the 8 back to the 10. The West ended up winning with the Jack, and then they played the Ace. So I know that's a whole lot. Just to summarize, we've lost 3 tricks to the clubs already. We've lost the Jack of we've lost to the Jack of Hearts, and now they're leading off a Heart Ace, which we're gonna ruff. But it's gonna eat up our Heart King. So once we get to this position, like this King's about to get eaten by the Heart Ace, but we're gonna stop and hold up and think for a second before we actually do that. What we want to try and figure out here is how we can play the spade suit for only 1 loser. Because we've already taken 4, and we're guaranteed 1 more to the Ace of Spades. We cannot afford to lose to the Ace of Spades and the Queen of Spades. So it's vital that we can figure out where they're placed. So I'm going to give everybody a chance to think about this, because there's a lot of information here, but I'll give you about 30 seconds. Maybe a minute. Okay, let's start by counting up some, let's count up some points. How many points has West shown us so far? Well, they started off with Ace, King, Queen, Jack of Clubs. Then they also show up with the Ace, Jack of Hearts. So that's 15 points already. there's kind of two things that stand out about this auction. One, West didn't make a second bid, and two, East didn't make a first bid. So if we're trying to figure out where the ace and the queen of spades are, if West is sitting on the ace of spades, that would mean that they had 19 points. It is pretty inconceivable that West would not be willing to make a second bid. It's honestly a little inconceivable to me that West isn't willing to make a second bid even with 17 points. But let's hold on to that for a second. But I feel pretty confident that we can make sure that we can say that West does not have the ace of spades. So if East is going to show up with the ace and the queen of spades, that means that they had 6 points. And if East had 6 points, why didn't they respond to West? There was no reason for them not to. So we are also pretty confident that East cannot have both the ace and the queen of spades. So that leaves pretty much only one option. We have to have the queen of spades in West, and we have to have the ace of spades in East. And now that you know where the queen of spades is, we can make sure that we're playing the spade suit correctly. What is East-West 1 no-trump opener? That's a good question, and it varies from problem to problem in the book. So I am not sure. It could be a weak no-trump, though. It could be 12 to 14. In modern style, a lot of people won't pass their partner's opening at the 1 level with an ace in their hand. That also feels right. Like, a lot of this bidding sequence feels unbelievable to me. Like, if West is sitting on 17 points, how in the world do they not have a second bid? In the book, it's 12 to 14 non-vulnerable and 16-18 vulnerable. Yeah, the book was written in the 1950s. It is 100% the bidding is weird. But I think yeah, we're looking at examples and trying to make like inferences about like this really shitty bidding. But like I think the principles are timeless though. Which is the idea of like if we can come up with like we want to counterpoints, we want to try and make sure that we're placing the cards and giving ourselves the best opportunities that we can to get the cards that we're give ourselves the best possibility to make the contract. But yeah, I think the bidding leaves a lot to be desired, and if I had more time to devote to these, I would be looking to outsource some more examples. But I have a couple of books that I try and draw from, and if I can't find anything if I can't find too much outside of that, that's about what we have. Yeah, place the cards from the 1950s auctions. They're not easy. In the book, West takeout would not be double. Yeah, I don't feel confident at all in saying like what would have been standard at the time when the book was written. But it's definitely one of those things where like I feel like if somebody wanted to make like an update and like made like a companion book like with extra problems to go along with these chapters, like that would probably be a really good book. Big Geek is right at home with the 50s. So double would be penalty. Okay, good to know. Yeah, like kind of the only way that I could figure that West doesn't come in is if they actually have a diamond hand. Like, but if they actually have a diamond hand, how did they bid clubs first? Like, I guess like they could be like 5-5 or something. It's so useful to whack a balancing 1 diamond. Yeah, it's there was another auction in this chapter where they enforce the bid 2-no over opponent's like 1 heart open, and they bid it as like a literal balanced like 20-point hand. I was like, that also felt a little strange. There was a lot of weird bidding in this chapter. The next one's going to be like this too, because it's all about making inferences from the bidding and making inferences about the play. I do think I've had a little bit more trouble with these chapters because a lot of the like the footnotes and things like that are a little bit, I don't know. A lot of the stuff is a little out of date. Like they're like, and the discussion around it is like not quite what is modern style. Playing 50 style, you seriously stop people. 21, 22, 1.5 stops in their suit. Yeah, I would say it's definitely unfamiliar. It's a completely different style, and people have changed up how they think about it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here.